Hello everybody, this is Gregory, 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics and Living, where 5 minutes of your time may get you to the divine. Today we're going to talk about the number one issue and the number one reason why you should not go to Orthodoxy. Now before we begin, let's start with a prayer. Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti, Amen. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper et seculorum. Amen. And the number one reason is not because they don't use Latin, of course. All right, look, there has been a trend, I think, of traditional-minded Catholics flocking to Orthodoxy over the last several years because they worry about Pope Francis, they see him as a liberal and whatnot. And I understand that. And we do have an episode here, I think it's 7 reasons why traditional Catholics shouldn't go to Orthodoxy. And it's not to say that there isn't beauty in Orthodoxy. John Paul II said that Orthodoxy and Catholicism were the 2 lungs of the church. And we know that, of course, Orthodoxy does have apostolic succession. They have valid apostolic succession. They have valid sacraments. And certainly we shared a joint history with them for quite some time. And you know, the 1054, the Great Schism, we kind of used that date as a hard date, but really there were issues before that, and a lot of the issues, and I know the Orthodox will always say it's the filioque or more Christological issues, but really it was always political. And many of the issues of the 16th century too were also political and cultural. And if you look at the eventual divide between East and West, a lot of it was based on language, a lot of it was based on customs and culture, a lot of it was based on politics, the East having the Byzantine Empire and the West trying to break free of that and so forth. But either way, I would tell you that the number one reason you shouldn't be Orthodox is because they don't have Peter. I mean, it's as simple as that. They don't have Peter. And they'll come back with a lot of theological things. It's just simple as you don't have Peter. Christ founded the church on Peter. Simple as that. And under Peter, there's been unity. We're one holy Catholic and apostolic. We're one. And you see Paul talk about in 1 Corinthians, some people follow Apollos, some people follow Cephas. We all have to be following one. And you look what's happened in Orthodoxy, and really this started after the schism, but certainly you can see it borne out really in the last 20 years. And there's no agreement. The Orthodox can't even agree amongst themselves. And this is, like Christ says, know them by their fruit. And that once you leave the bosom of the vicar of Christ, the Bishop of Rome, the leader of the church, what happens? Fracturedness, anarchy. You break away from a breakaway from a breakaway. We certainly see that borne out in Protestantism, but it happened in Orthodoxy. You know, the Orthodox give obeisance, so to speak, to the Patriarch of Constantinople. He's the first among equals, but it's just kind of like honorary. And we talk about in that episode on the Council of Constantinople in 381. We did a series here. I think I did the first 5 councils. I probably did that a year and a half ago. How in that council, the Bishop of Constantinople was like, we need to make Constantinople right behind Rome as the most important thing. And everyone was like, woo, hold up. You've only been existing for 60 years as the capital of the empire. And even then, the bishops at the time were like, no, the primacy goes to Rome because that's where Peter died, right? But more recently, you see how the different autocephalic branches, autonomous regions of Orthodoxy, you know, because there's a Greek, or there's a Russian, there's a Ukrainian, there's a Romanian, you know, they have all these things. They can't even get along. They can't even meet. They can never meet. It's always something comes up. One group's mad at the other. Another one's mad at another. You saw in 2018 was a big one where the Russian Orthodox got mad at the Ukrainian Orthodox. And it's just, and of course, a lot of this has been exacerbated by the Ukrainian invasion. But again, yes, the Roman side of the church has issues, no doubt. And I'm not even talking about the sex abuse issues or anything, because you'll find that the wheat among the weeds in any institution. What I'm talking about is, yes, they're going to be like the German bishops. So we always use them kind of as the paragon of liberalism gone astray, how they are just openly pushing to go against the deposit of faith. And maybe on the other side, you have the SSPX or even the more radical groups. But as a whole, the church is still run by one person. There's one person that you can go to where the buck stops here, so to speak. And in Orthodoxy, you don't have that. In Orthodoxy, they themselves, yeah, you can go to your patriarch of Moscow or whatever it is for your autocephalic branch, but again, there's no unity. Christ intended to find one visible church unified and bonded that he said the gates of hell will never prevail over. And whoever hears you hears me. And whatever you bind is bound. That was given to Peter. And 2,000 years later, it's still one holy Catholic Church bounded by the successors of Peter. And you look at Orthodoxy, they're fighting amongst themselves. They can't even have their own ecumenical council, and there's chaos. So yes, there's absolutely elements of truth in Orthodoxy. Absolutely. But there's no oneness. And that's one of the 4 marks of the church, is oneness. So don't go to Orthodoxy for that. And I'll put a banner in here for the episode that I did on the 7 reasons why traditional Catholics shouldn't be Orthodox. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care. God bless and pray.